Roman and the Bloodline are back. Yes, yes, yes. Femi destroys everyone. Monday Night Raw, Turin, Italy. Let's get into it. We start the show with Roman and his new Bloodline. Yes, featuring Jacob Fatu, who has had to come under the fold. Yes, yes, yes. He's been welcomed back into the family with open arms, let's just say, to form the new iteration of the Bloodline. I think it's quite interesting redoing this instead of having Solo, having Jacob Fatu. And I think he's going to play a bigger role than just an enforcer. Well, we know he's going to play a bigger role than just an enforcer. Let's see where this goes, especially with the fact that they have Solo Sikoa, and I understand there's a storyline coming with that as well. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with the MFTs. That's how the show started, with ones to the sky. That led us to a King of the Ring qualifying 4-way match. Well, not qualifying, I guess everyone's already in the tournament. It's just moving along in the brackets. We had a match between Penta, Solo, Carmelo Hayes, and Femi. Now, I actually thought this was a really, really smart idea. The whole thing I thought was done exceptionally well from beginning to end. They were very careful with Oba's character, especially considering what happened at Clash in Italy as far as the loss. It was very interesting. So first of all, Oba came with a bandaged arm from the Kimura, Brock Lesnar's Kimura. I thought that was very clever. That was very smart to have his arm absolutely strapped up. And he did what he did with pretty much one arm. It was very, very dominant as far as a showing. It seems like a lot of what was captured before with Obafemi is still there despite the loss. I wondered how that would work, quite literally, but the 1 versus 1 I think is very important to the storyline, and even Brock saying that I think was even more important than Oba reiterating it. So for that, I think very, very clever. The idea of him being attacked before the match started once again, to try and get the upper hand. Carmelo Hayes and Solo for the most part. I think that was very good as far as keeping his character intact. He had an absolutely excellent, just an excellent performance throughout that whole segment. And again, what an entrance, what an entrance. The attack on the entrance is mainly what I'm talking about. It was so good and it was so well put together. I loved it. For that, I have to give Obafemi my MVP of Monday Night Raw from Turin. Congratulations, sir. You are the Triple Crown champ winner. For MVP of the night. I will also say that the match was so good, and again, a lot of that was Oba. I think Penta had a great deal to do with that. I think Carmelo Hayes, great deal to do with that. But someone who stood out to me in this match once again was Solo Sikoa. And I've been saying this for a little while, actually. He is an unsung hero in a way. It's very much the wrestling business. It's very much a heel. It's cartoonish at times, but he always gives you a great performance when he goes out there. I used to think, why is he the leader of a faction? But you see why. He has all parts. He has all parts. He gives you that feeling that maybe he doesn't deserve his spot, but then he does certain things and he's maniacal and he goes into matches. And even when you think he's going to get ran over, he holds his own significantly. So Solo really stood out to me in this match. I thought the competition between him and Oba, it was great, because Solo he's dominant and he's dominant, but he's maniacal, a villain. And still within that, it wasn't enough for Oba. He thought surely it's enough. He's a Samoan, right? And it's just like, no. There was one moment where I think he hip checked Obafemi. He thought he did something and then he turned around and Oba was charging at him and he's just like, what the hell? Hilarious. The reactions on his face, all of that. So for me, I also give this my best match of the night. Congratulations again to all four: Penta, Carmelo Hayes, Obafemi, and indeed Solo Sikoa. This led to a Soul Rooker celebration. I mean, yeah, I know where Soul Rooker's going, if I'm being honest. The only thing I can say about Soul Rooker is there's been so much talk about the botches for the Soul Snatcher. I've only seen like 2. And there's been talks about possibly changing her finisher. I don't think they should do that. It's such a unique and amazing finisher that it's a part of what got Soul Rooker this far. So I don't think you can take the Soul Snatcher away from Soul Rooker right now. I also think that the botches in the Soul Snatcher has nothing to do with Soul Rooker. It has to do with the other competitors. I understand that that still might be a problem. The competitors on the roster can't get the timing right. But the fact of the matter is that's not Soul Rooker's fault. I think maybe add a submission so you can hide it, so that she finishes people with a submission every now and again. But I don't think the Soul Snatcher needs to be changed. I think it's too unique a move and it's absolutely phenomenal. No way, no Jose, no Jose. And again, for me, Soul Snatcher is going to do what Bianca Belair did several years ago. She's going to be that level of star. For me, she is that replacement while Bianca Belair is having a child and rearing a child and whatever she's doing, being a mother. I think Soul Snatcher is the easy replacement to that. The same amount of pop, the same amount of fanfare. Yes, there's differences between them, but I mean what Bianca Belair meant to the WWE universe, to the kids, to the younger generation. I think Soul Rooker is going to be exactly that for the WWE. It brings us on to my guy, Ethan Page. Yes, I do love me some Ethan Page. And Ethan Page and Rusev versus Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, something arranged from last week. Adam Pearce. Wow. I actually noted down on my sheet, I think maybe Ethan Page might need a faction. Maybe not need. He doesn't need. But it might be nice to give him a faction, see what happens there. Although some may argue that Ethan Page isn't a faction guy. He is a smarmy git. Is what he is. Him and Rusev's relationship is absolutely here. It's doing so well at the moment. And I think the WWE obviously caught on to that. That's why they've got more segments and moments together. They are so good together. Ethan Page more so than anything else. And I think when I watched this match, I must say, I thought that Rey Mysterio looked fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. He just never seems to lose it. He stood out to me as probably being the best in that match. Just absolutely phenomenal. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Just rolling back time, he looked so good, I must say. Dragon Lee obviously always looks good as well. And as I said, Ethan Page and Rusev. So it was a really, really, really good match for me. Thoroughly enjoyed it. That took us on to what I would give my best promo segment for the night, but I don't necessarily think it was all the way there. It was just, I guess, more of LA Knight being LA Knight. But the LA Knight Adam Pearce segment I thought was quite nice. I thought it was quite funny. And again, LA Knight being a part of this story because he witnessed the rise of the bloodline before is instrumental to the story. It's like a character in a movie who has very few lines, but what that character has to say forwards the story. And that's what I think about LA Knight, especially in this segment and the segments he's been doing in recent weeks. So let's talk about the four-way Queen of the Ring, Queen of the Ring match to advance. Now we have Roxanne Perez, we have Lash Legend, we have Io, and we have Julia, a blonde Julia. She looks beautiful. She looks absolutely lovely. The name, The Beautiful Madness. I don't know, noticed that straight away when she showed up on NXT, why that name was that name. She looks absolutely fantastic. She is such a proficient wrestler. Love to see her back on maybe not home soil, but something of home soil. A connection that was weird to me for a long time. I remember watching during NXT and not understanding why a Japanese woman had an Italy flag on her trunks. But I did look at her in the face and think to myself, this woman isn't 100% Japanese. She may be born in Japanese, but she looks like there's some kind of Caucasian mix in her. And that's when a friend of mine would reveal to me that obviously she is part Japanese, part Italian, and a well-known so. So, I mean, yeah, always been a fan of Julia, always liked her work. Absolutely amazing in the ring. She is as proficient in the ring as she is beautiful, and vice versa. However, this match would be won by Io. And we all know Triple H and Io, that's one of his favorites, diehard favorites will always be. So there was no real surprise there. And let's be honest, we can't really argue with that. That took us on to Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker. This was the main event of the night. Yeah, I thought this was always going to be a good match. They're getting better as a series of matches. I think obviously we're aiming towards something big. I don't know if we're going all the way to SummerSlam with this storyline and how interesting they can keep it until then, especially with the emergence of all the bloodline stuff. I would say that would be a great combination for that storyline, and for Bron Breakker, it would be an absolutely amazing spot. It really would be. Tez interfering in the match. That was good. I like Tez interfering in the match. I like putting Tez in that spot. I like putting the Street Profits in that spot. Somewhere where they bounce, where they're a tag team, but they bounce higher than that. Look, we did it with the Usos. We're continually doing it with the Usos, where they're a tag team, but they're bouncing a little bit higher than that. You know what I mean? They're in the business of the champ and have been for quite some time, there and thereabouts. I can't see any reason why not to do the same thing with the Street Profits, because both Dawkins and Tez, I think, could hold heavyweight gold. So, yeah, I think it'd be nice to see the Street Profits bouncing around that area. The spear on Heyman, oh my God, he only takes, the man is 60 odd, right? He's 60 odd. He's still taking bumps all over the place. Man, oh man, oh man. Much respect to Paul Heyman once again. Credit where credit is due. The end of the show where they went off the air was a genius spot. But I think an honorable mention has to go to Grayson Waller, because that's a Grayson Waller move. So again, as I said, I have always been an NXT fan. I remembered a feud between Grayson Waller going for the title, and Bron Breakker. And Grayson Waller continuously kept getting speared by Grayson Waller continuously kept getting speared by Bron Breakker. So Grayson Waller had the genius idea to go to the ring wearing an oversized camo jacket, if I'm not mistaken. And under the camo jacket, as he did his promo and absolutely ran his mouth, said some things about Bron Breakker, and collectively, audience and fans watching at home said to themselves, what the hell are you doing? Sure enough, when Breakker came to the ring, his music hit. He came out like a bull in a china shop. They had a brawl between them. It ended up in the ring. And at some point, Bron Breakker got the range and he hit Grayson Waller with the most devastating spear you have ever seen in your life. And then Grayson Waller got up and Bron Breakker didn't. To which Grayson Waller revealed he was wearing a bulletproof vest. It was such a good segment. Grayson Waller gave that signal, pretty much the end of the segment. But it was well crafted and well done. And I think Seth Rollins with that belt got it from Grayson Waller. He's just doing it on a larger scale. Fantastic. Shout out Grayson Waller. You're one of them. If you like the content, please hit like, subscribe, hit the notification button. Will let you know when I'm uploading next. Until then, I have been the Triple Crown Champ. See you next time.